Hey there, welcome or welcome back to Oops, I Planted Again. My name is Courtney, and today I'm going to be sharing with you plants that were my favorites in the month of February, plants that I was really obsessed with, but I also want to provide you with how I take care of them, and I hope that, you know, if you have these plants and maybe they're struggling or they're just not like as popping as you want them to be, maybe you will enjoy some of the tips that I have for you in taking care of your plants. The first plant, I'm looking at it, it's right in front of me, is a plant. I've had this for almost a year. I got it at an Equigenera pop-up, and it is the Anthurium Regal. OMG. So this new leaf started sprouting last month, and it just keeps getting bigger by the day, it feels like. This was the last leaf, and I was really happy with this one because before then, this was the this is what came out. I need to cut this off, but I don't know. I tend to like wait until the very last minute until the whole thing disintegrates, and yeah, because I'm a crazy person. But this plant has won my heart back. I will hopefully be able to provide a picture of what it first looked like when I first got it last year. And then if you watch any of my videos in the last like 6 months, you'll see me talk about this plant and that for me, it was a slow grower. It was kind of popping, then it wasn't popping. And then, you know, now it's back. And I really want to attribute it to how I have been taking care of this plant. So when I first got it, I put it directly in moss and just in moss. I was letting it dry out too often. I wasn't giving it any nutrients. I wasn't giving it anything. I wasn't even giving it even a little something like Thrive. I was giving it nothing. And honestly, I don't know why. Well, I think it was because it was in moss, but then I ended up putting it into this method with moss, perlite, and leca. I'm trying to lift it up so I can show you. So this is just an orchid container, and in here is moss, perlite, and leca, and then I actually have some leca still in here from when I potted it this way like so long ago. I just never took it out. So I basically just keep this as my water reservoir and have everything else in here. I recently readjusted the roots in February because the roots were like dangling down. So it really loves this method. And I love it too because it's really easy for me to retain the moisture and to keep the plant happy. And as for what I'm feeding it, I use Flora Grow. I bought it last year after like not wanting to buy it for a long time because it's kind of expensive. It's like $35 for the 3-part system. And once I realized I like leca and just like experimenting with different types of plant mediums other than soil, even though you can use it in soil and I do, I'm glad that I made that investment with the Flora Grow because I'm looking at it. I don't even think I've used like 25% of the container because they are huge. And if that's something that you're interested in, I think it's totally worth it if you're going to do any type of planting like this. So I use Flora Grow, and honestly, in the last like 3 to 4 months, every time I've been watering pretty much all of my plants, I am using the Flora Grow. So that, I think, is one of the other big reasons why I saw such amazing growth this month. And this plant lives in my grow tent. And last month, I think it was last month or it was in January, I made a video where I talked about how I was actually turning down the grow lights in my grow tent because when I first got it, I put like every single grow light I had in there. And you know, everything was fine, but I wanted to experiment with like maybe less of like the direct light because it's kind of bright in there. And the surface is reflective in there. So I figured that it would bounce enough light if I didn't have every single light on, like it would be fine. And you know, I mean, February was a good month. So I hope that that was actually helpful. And you know, that saves me probably some electricity money. But my electricity bill honestly isn't that high. When I tell people it's like, I think last month it was like $17. Everybody's really surprised because I have so many grow lights. But yeah, I don't do anything. So that's why my electricity bill is so low. But anyways, that is how I have been taking care of my Anthurium Regal. And I think it's working. And I think it looks amazing. And I am just like, this leaf is perfect, and now it is immortalized in this YouTube video. So if anything ever happens, at least we know what is possible. The next plant is the Calathea rattlesnake. It actually needs to be watered, but I did a time lapse of this plant in the last few weeks, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I love this. I actually got a Calathea rattlesnake 4 years ago when I first moved to Austin, and I had it for years, and it just died within like last year. And I didn't know I was gonna replace this when I went plant shopping for my birthday, but I did, and I love this plant. I just really love the movement, and generally it is really easy to care for. I had it for years before I started having issues with it. So I mean, you know, that could just be a Calathea running its course, but I love this plant. So really this month I haven't been doing anything extraordinary because I got it in February, and I isolate my plants at least for 2 weeks, if not longer. So I haven't had a chance to repot it. It's still in its nursery container from where I got it, and I just put it in this pot because it's cute. But I don't think I will repot it, like put it in another container, like nursery container or anything. I think it's just fine. But I did realize it is a lot thirstier than I remember. So I've just been watering it with the FloraGrow. And as far as lighting, I really have just been moving this plant around multiple places because I really don't know where I want to put it yet. And like, I've had it in the room where I did the time-lapse video, but I put another plant there, and now it's kind of just like sitting on top of a box of perlite near the window. It's not been in the grow tent. It's not near a grow light at all. And I still think it's doing really excellent. So the only thing really that I've done is use the FloraGrow, and this plant is just in soil. Like I said, I use the FloraGrow for all of my watering, so every time I've watered this in the past month, I have used the FloraGrow, and I think it looks amazing. This is the big kahuna, the big Varicosum. This was actually one of my wish list plants for 2023, and I ended up getting it from Equigenera pretty soon into the year, and it was very weird when I got it. It was like all bent up, and it honestly looked really terrible, and I was very nervous to work with this plant because I've had it in the past and have killed it every single time. I think I've at least had it twice, if not 3 times, but I've never bought a mature one, like a bigger one. So my thought process is, if it's bigger, then it'll be a slower time to kill it. And you can usually propagate and kind of save a piece. But this plant, to be honest, I don't know if it's my care, or if like my attitude has changed, or I just got a better plant. But this plant is so easy. It's already over. It's probably almost. So this stake that I have, this plastic stake, is 3 feet long, and it's to the bottom of this container. And in the video, you'll see that it's way over. Like, I need to repot it like yesterday. So honestly, I don't do much with this plant except for my FloraGrow, and it is in the grow tent. And it's kind of off to the side because it's so tall. It's so much taller than I'm able to provide space for in terms of like putting it on my shelf. So it's directly on the floor. And obviously it gets grow light, but it's not as direct as other plants. And it's in moss, perlite, and leca, and it is in a small container. This is pretty small. I got this from the Dollar Tree like years ago. They usually have really good glass containers for pretty cheap, and the roots have still not worked their way all the way down. So I only got this plant this year. It's only 3 months into the year, and it started growing. I'm trying to think where the first like new leaf was. I want to say it was like, I don't know, either this one or this one. I'm not 100% sure, but it's growing. It's so easy, and it kind of just sits there and it's relaxed. I've only treated it for pest once, but this month I'm treating all of my plants for pest because I'm using systemic, and then I'm like rinsing down the plant, and then I'm spraying pest spray on all of them. So I will do a treatment for this plant this month, and I am hoping that everything keeps well with this. I mean, it looks amazing, and I don't think you can see it. I got another pole. This one is 6 feet. So if by the time I move, like in the fall, if this is at the top of this 6 feet pole, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I genuinely don't know. Like, I will take suggestions, because I'm like, if it's this tall and I have to move it, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know, but we're just gonna focus on growing. Oh my God, that scared me. We're just gonna focus on growing this plant, and that's gonna be it. This next plant that I'm gonna show you, this is the second or third one that I've had of this, but it was one of the first like fancier plants that I got in 2021. I can't believe it's 2023, but it was like one of the first, like, it was like $25. It was the first like expensive to me plant that I ever bought, because $25 is a lot for a plant. Like, I've paid more, which is insane, but $25 was a lot. And I still love this plant to this day. So this is not the original. I actually only have a cutting from the very first one that I got, because I went on vacation last summer and I was only gone for a week, and it literally got spider mites. But I had a cutting to save. But anyways, it is the Syngonium. This one, I just feel like you can't go wrong with. Like, I feel like there's no reason for anybody not to like this one. Even if you don't love Syngoniums, like, I mean, come on. These leaves are so beautiful, and they're so like delicate. And this is a plant that it did used to live in my grow tent, and then I repotted it into this method. I need to clean this out because this is like gross. I repotted it a couple months ago, and I had a lot of casualties. It really didn't have that many leaves left, and I was nervous, but then it started growing. And I just think it's so beautiful. So, like I said, I repotted it into this container. And honestly, I don't love this container because of the slender shoot, this part. So, I don't know. It's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit challenging, because I grew this from, like, it didn't have real roots, like a real solid root system. It had some aerial roots, but the plant was really leggy. So basically, I propagated it into this, and it's provided me all these three. Actually, yeah, these three are these three. This one too. Is it? Oh my God, how many leaves is this? Okay, these two, and I think this one. These are like the three newest leaves that came, and these other three were ones that are already here. But I basically propagated this plant into the system, and it's growing really well. Honestly, part of me wants to like propagate it again, just so I can start getting like a really bushy one, but I don't know if I want to or not. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I don't know. But this one just gets Flora Grow, and that's every time that I fill it up. And this plant was just sitting on a table in my plant room. It didn't have any grow lights at all. But I noticed a couple of weeks ago, maybe like end of January, that it was leaning heavily towards the open window that I usually have open for my plants. So then I was like, well, let me turn it around and see if it's like leaning back towards that way, because then I'll know that it's not like evenly getting light. So I did that, and it did lean back towards the opposite way. So I decided last week to put it inside of the grow tent, and it has since straightened out. So I think that's really helpful. So it just recently went back into the grow tent, and it's helped it a lot, because it was leaning very like these were like this, like that's how it was on the window. But that's all I do to take care of this plant. It's super easy. I need to clean this container. Like I said, it's disgusting, but this plant is happy, and I just think it's a stunner. I think it's a total showstopper. And yeah, if you want variegation but you don't want to pay an arm and a leg, I would try this one out for size. It's super easy. And last but not least, the El Chaco. as I was taking this off the shelf downstairs where I have it, where it lives, I realized how massively huge this is. And I am just like even more happy that, I don't know, this plant, it's exploding with growth. It has a new one coming out right here. It looks like a honker. I mean, man, this is a huge plant. And one thing I just realized, I wanted to take this out to show you the roots at the bottom. And at one, I realized how thirsty it is, but look at that root growth. Like, are you kidding me? And I also realized that I want to give this plant a moss pole. I just bought some recently online, and I am deciding on what plants I want to use them for because I think I got too small and too medium. So I'm hoping that one of them will fit this plant so that we can continue the growth and to support it, because it's kind of like, it's not like too rickety, but it's a little rickety, and it just keeps shooting up. So I want to make sure that I'm providing proper support for this plant. And as far as care goes, it is downstairs in open air. It's not a grow tent. It's downstairs on a shelf where I have other plants as well. I have a humidifier next to this plant shelf, and I have a focused grow light on that shelf, and it's not like a strip grow light, it's a spotlight. And I use FloraGrow, the thing that I keep mentioning. I use it all the time. I use it for everything. But this plant is in moss, perlite, and leca. You just can't see it because it's in the green container, nursery container. Normally I would have used a clear container, but I didn't have one on me at the time that I got this. And I only just got this plant in January, and it looks amazing. I got this from Equigenera. Totally worth it. I don't think I've had any bad purchases from Equigenera. I mean, I've only ordered from them twice, and then I got plants at a pop-up last year. But honestly, I may order some more, just because why not? You know, treat yourself. I may try to get the rest of my, well, no, I have most of the wish list plants I wanted for 2023. Except for a fiddly fig. That, I think that's one of like the last ones that I'm gonna get, because I'm not gonna get it until after I move, because it's just too huge and stressful to move. But otherwise, I mean, you know, I might as well, you know, I'm only young once. You might as well get what you want. But man, I just cannot believe how explosive this growth has been, and just how massively huge and beautiful this plant is. I absolutely love it. I want to thank you so much for watching today's video, and make sure you comment below, what was your favorite plant in February? What were you obsessed with in the month of February? Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.